access free and compulsory basic education. The 2021 KCPE candidates therefore constitute the 5th cohort of learners admitted to secondary schools under the government's policy of 100% transition. I urge stakeholders not to drop the ball in implementing this policy, even in the face of few challenges that stand on their way. These challenges include the negative effects of insecurity in some parts of this country, teenage pregnancies, long distances to school, poverty, and especially related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We will continue to work with the Ministry of Interior and coordination of national government to facilitate enrollment of every child in secondary school to actualize the 100% transition policy. The national government administration officers will work with county, sub-county education officers to ensure that no child is locked out of school. And I'm also instructing all my principal secretaries and senior officers at Yogo's house and my most humble self that we shall go to the weakest link to make sure that the children in the slums are carried to school like we have done in the previous years. I urge principals not to admit students in NEMIS before students report physically, so that we are able to know which students have not reported. Field officers should monitor admission of students in NEMIS. And if I am to be remembered for anything in this ministry, I would like to be remembered as a cabinet secretary who gave an opportunity to the less fortunate where I belonged. Before now, I've become very big, well-fed, and even a cabinet secretary. As a ministry, we are committed to ensure that parents and guardians with learners who will be joining Form 1 are not overburdened with the unnecessary requirements that increase the cost of education. Principals should therefore exercise caution while listing requirements as part of the measures to the cost of education. Some of the items to be avoided include exercise books, which are provided for by the good government, class readers, novels, photocopying papers, foolscaps, atlas, mathematical sets, hockey, pangas, jembes, and what have you. The idea here is to admit the Kenyan child into a Kenyan public school where free secondary education is free, day secondary education is free in 75% of the schools, and even in boarding, that day secondary school is still free because that money is remitted. So what the child is going to pay for is money for feeding and a few other things. So don't stop the child from going to the school. If you do, I am still the head of this ministry until His Excellency the President decides otherwise. I will come for you. Doesn't matter who you are. Let us give every child an opportunity, and I hope this one is taken with the spirit that it should be taken. Because if that was not so, some of us would never have gone to school. Second one I want to talk about is the Elimu Scholarship, which again, this is now the 3rd year. We have 18,000 students who are enjoying this scholarship. We went to the field to identify the actual people who, bona fide, people who require the scholarship. And I want to thank the President again for having allowed us this year that he will provide the money for another 9,000, and also for having directed that since there is a huge problem in urban slums, 4,000 of those 9,000 scholarships will be for the less fortunate children in urban slums. The other 5,000 will be distributed across the nation. I wish to commend and appreciate the bursary providers, other bursary providers like Equity Bank, KCB, Cooperative Bank, NGCDF. I have something to say about NGCDF. NGCDF should be a little bit more regimental in the manner that they give the scholarships. Don't give scholarships to children with over 400 marks and their fathers are the Magohas of this world. You have really just wasted the money. Look for where there is greatest need. So it's not good enough to say, oh, I've given 10,000 scholarships to children who got 400 and above. That is not intelligent at all. can you look for those children who otherwise would not have gone to a boarding school and are moderate in their passing, so that you can make sure they go to boarding schools? And since they are politicians, I can only plead with them that it's true they are giving scholarships, but sometimes they are giving scholarships to the wrong people. Also, don't give scholarships to children in your area only, and then refuse to give children whose parents didn't vote for you. That is criminal. Thank God I'm not the Chief Justice. Hiyo tungeweka ndani. So like I've said, bursaries and scholarships should be given only for those children in boarding schools. In very simple English, the government of the Republic of Kenya pays for school fees for every child in a day secondary school. So if you are going to give so much money to a child in a day secondary school, some of that money may end up in your own pocket. So we are going to advise that you give scholarship to only children who are going to boarding schools. Because the only thing that the day scholars require is school uniform and lunch money. And me, I skipped many lunches, but do I look like I didn't have those lunches? It doesn't matter. Subsidy and school are, the government continues to support secondary education. This financial year alone, we have got 62 billion Kenya shillings, which has been disbursed on time in the past and shall be disbursed on time in the future. In this regard, I wish to point out that the government provides 22,400 to cover tuition and related expenses for all public secondary schools. This also has money that should be used for maintenance and expansion of infrastructure. And I'm very glad, as I have been going around the country and being shown, oh, these are the buildings which we are doing with this money that the government gives. So quite a large number of teachers are doing a good job with the money, but there are a few who are not doing so. And mine is to urge them to ensure that you must make sure that there is value for money. And my officers in the field, together with the Teacher Service Commission, don't have teeth when you are doing this. Just check if something is not wrong, then it is not wrong, and don't settle it out of court. Bring in the police and arrest the people, because this is taxpayers' money, which is meant to improve the conditions under which our children are.